Hello there. Hello everyone. Welcome to the 38th episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. This is also the premiere of Season 5 of Star Wars in a Galaxy. Holy cow. We're getting into a new era, except for not really, because we're still doing the Clone Wars. I'm Cad Bane. This joke's never gonna end.
I'm Cato Paracity.
So what you're saying is you're the Zam Wessel of this operation.
Yes, I'm the Zam Wessel of this operation. Although Cato
Anyway, I'm
Paracity is
Eli.
way more powerful. I'm Jacob.
And welcome back to Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I already said that. This week, we watched the premiere episodes of Season 2 of Star Wars The Clone Wars, Holocron Heist, Cargo of Doom, and Children of the Force. And we got some action-packed stuff in here, so I think we should just get into it. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, so we start off in Episode 1.
Holocron Heist.
Episode 1, yeah, Holocron Heist.
Fortune Cookie.
The fortune cookie is, a lesson learned is a lesson earned. I mean, I guess I didn't really like this. I felt like it didn't really communicate anything interesting. It didn't really give too much of a philosophical focal point for what the audience should be searching for, focusing on beyond what we could already pretty easily see. So I wasn't a huge fan, but
the only lesson I learned from this is
just what it is.
The only lesson I learned from this is just because their episodes are getting better doesn't mean their fortune cookies are getting better.
The fortune cookies seem to be very, very shaky.
They're up and down. It depends on the episode. This one didn't hit me as well. It seemed a little corny. It didn't really do anything for me. I agree with you. But the fortune cookie, as with this episode, in my opinion, doesn't make the episode. This episode, in my opinion, is still an extremely strong episode without needing a fortune cookie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so
we open on Felucia. This is kind of a big moment for Ahsoka. We see the ships break through. Ahsoka's on top of the tank. She's pushing forwards, but then Obi-Wan and Anakin are saying, "We have to retreat. You have to get in our gunship. We gotta go," and that becomes a source of conflict. Ahsoka, of course, doesn't want to go. She's saying, "No, we've got him on the run." Yeah. Master Anakin, Anakin told me never ever retreat when the clankers are on the run. But then
I think she says,
of course,
tinnies. Never
hold
back when the tinnies are on the run.
And then, of course, as soon as she gets on the ship, when she finally complies, the droids pop out of the trees from all sides, 360 degrees, and her tank completely blows up.
Yeah.
So I think it's an important moment for Ahsoka. We kind of see her learn some humility, and it's interesting that we start to see her, just like in the Ryloth arc, is another example of her kind of something that is a catalyst for her gaining some more maturity. We see her directly have to face the actions and kind of live it down in front of the Jedi Council, and we see, or I guess she sees, that her actions and when she tunnel visions and when she makes mistakes, that can directly lead to other people getting killed. So it's a very heavy moment, but it's a very good moment for her.
I actually really like the fact that she has to learn the same lesson as in Storm over Ryloth. I actually really like that. I think every character has a weakness, and I think and every character has many weaknesses. That's what makes them interesting characters. And Ahsoka, is a very interesting character, one of my favorite characters. And one of her weaknesses right now is a lot of hot-headedness, which, to her credit, when it works, it works. When it fails badly. So, it's a lot like her master, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like I feel like it is good that she's learning the same lesson twice. That's how people work. It's not as though, in terms of thinking about character development, how to make a character move forward and change over time, and in terms of real life, how people work, it's not realistic to just say, one and done. They have this one big thing, like Ahsoka. It's not realistic to say, she's gonna have this one big thing at Ryloth, and then all of a sudden she's gonna jump up to the next level and just become super on it, like model Jedi,
Yeah.
very, very skilled, very confident, very smart with her abilities and how she treats others and the people following her. So I think it kind of makes her more relatable, and it makes the story more satisfying to kind of see that gradual progression. And that's one thing that's really great about the Clone Wars is like the gradual progression with Ahsoka. It's not just a like
It's not one
the
episode
creators
she's
really
this. One episode
the
she's
creators
that.
really put the time in to slowly bring about change for her rather than just all at once.
Yeah, that's what I think is the strength of the show is, like, we get to see Din change over time in The Mandalorian, we get to see Ahsoka change over time in The Clone Wars, we get to see Ezra change over time in Rebels, and we get to see Kaz change over time in Resistance. It's the long form of storytelling is quite an advantage in that regard.
Yeah,
one of
and
the
one
things,
more thing, if
yeah.
I can just say one more
Go
thing
ahead.
before I move on. I think it makes it more realistic too, because not only is it more gradual, but it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back at times,
Yeah.
It's not
Absolutely.
a linear progression. Like,
No.
it is a struggle, and that is something that enhances the show greatly
Yeah.
when you have the time to do that with a show.
So
It's awesome.
couple things
It's
from
absolutely
Felucia
awesome.
that I loved. So Obi-Wan's like, your Padawan's not following orders, and Anakin says, "Is she winning?" Which is the most Anakin thing I've ever heard anybody say ever. It's like Anakin is still it's made very evident in that line that he hasn't learned the lesson fully either. That he is still learning what his Padawan is learning as well, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah, it's that's a funny one.
Moving on, we have the heist.
We get our introduction to one of the most major villains of the Clone Wars animated series. Not in Hostage Crisis, but in this episode, chronologically speaking. The Duros bounty hunter, Cad Bane.
I really like Cad Bane
I really hate Cad Bane.
because on an emotional level, I hate him. I dislike him, but as a character, I like him because he's one of the few characters I think in the Clone Wars where he really outsmarts the Jedi, and he really will like get under their skin, get in their heads, really outplay them and manipulate them. And then there's never any, or usually there's no get out of jail card for you. There's no haha, but really the Jedi were like working Cad Bane the whole time. No, like he's actually really smart and he's actually really threatening, and that's really
Yeah.
fun to see how that plays out for me.
I think I have a Maul blind spot a little bit for Cad Bane. I'm not sure what it is. There's just something about his voice and like how he conducts himself that irks me. It's not such to a point of Maul where it's like Maul, I will hand him absolutely no credit for anything he does. Cad Bane, I will absolutely hand him credit when I think the credit's deserved. There's just an itch about Cad Bane for me. I don't know what it is. I gotta say though, the introduction of Cad Bane, Kevin Kiner's music, the lighting, the animation is just perfect.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
pretty great.
just perfect. This is one of my favorite, I gotta say, this whole sequence with the beginning of Cad Bane and Sidious, and then later Cato Parasati and Order Innocence. This whole sequence is maybe my favorite sequence in any of the 3 episodes. Because of, we talked about this on our episode reviewing Trespass. Tone. This is not a kid's show. We are maybe 6 minutes into this episode, and there's already a dead Jedi on the floor.
Yeah,
this guy means business. Yeah,
absolutely, and then I think, yeah, Toto 360 also.
Oh,
if we're talking about tone, he's hilarious.
Yeah, actually, do you know who voices
360 or 180 from where Cad Bane kind of takes it? Who voices Toto 360? Is someone I should know?
Actually, you should know this. I'm it's okay, but it's a fun thing to know. Toto 360 is voiced by Seth Green.
Oh.
Seth Green is one of the creators of, and I kid you not, Robot Chicken. And so Filoni saw Green doing some Robot Chicken stuff, including some Star Wars Robot Chicken stuff. And he's looked at him and was like, I need a comedic role for this episode. And so he got Seth Green to do Toto 360. And I gotta say, that casting choice was impeccable. It was a great casting choice. I loved it, beginning to end. It was, yeah, I wrote several times in my notes, Seth Green as Toto's 360 is precious. Yeah, Toto 360 in this episode is great, is awesome.
So you're even more of a Toto 360 fan than I am. My favorite thing about Toto 360 is the fact that he has legs and a jetpack, and yet you still see him use like a built-in unicycle to wheel around. That is the best part.
He can do anything.
He does it all. He does it all.
He can do anything, that Toto 360. Yeah, I always like the break-in sequence with Cad Bane and Toto 360 and Kato Parasati disguising herself as Ord Innocence, and later Jocasta Nu is fantastic. I love them like breaking into the temple. It's this like, actually that's one of the other things I love about this episode. You know, usually in your standard Clone Wars arc up to this point, the Jedi would go to a planet and the shenanigans would happen there. This is on the Jedi's home turf. You don't expect a Clone Wars episode to be happening in the Jedi Temple, because who would want anything in the Jedi Temple? Why would there be a reason to go there?
I know, I think it makes it so much more impactful also that the Jedi are kind of beaten, outsmarted, and spun around by Cad Bane on their home turf.
Yeah.
You know?
I actually like, so there was this comment made about the new canon, about how much it likes to focus on bringing in new types of Force users, other than Jedi and Sith. Related to that, I also noticed that Clone Wars and a lot of new canon stuff, I know Clone Wars wasn't made for the new canon, but it is now part of the new canon. I know how Clone Wars, like Cad Bane is lowering the Jedi down, and I realized that a lot of the stuff I feel like the new canon's done in its expanded media outside of the movies is it's tried its very hardest not to make the Jedi and Sith superheroes. It doesn't want to turn into Marvel here. It doesn't want to turn into DC here. The Jedi are not superheroes. The Jedi can be beaten. Like, in a later episode, I think this is in Season 3, Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss, two very skilled Jedi Masters, go hand-to-hand combat and lightsaber dueling with Cad Bane, and none of them die. Not even Bane. He's a bounty hunter. He's facing two very, very skilled Jedi Masters, Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss. Gets away. The Jedi are not superheroes. They can't do everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. Absolutely true. Yeah, this episode, I love the break-in scenes, but it was kind of confusing, a lot of it. The seeming ease with which Cad Bane, Toto 360, Cato Parasiti managed to do what they did. Like, it was kind of sad that Kato, in disguise, like, was so rude to Ahsoka, and Ahsoka just wasn't surprised and didn't think anything of it. Like, maybe the Jedi aren't all they're cracked up to be.
No, I actually agree with you. I actually loved how easy it was. I loved how, because you'd expect it to be hard. You'd expect this episode, you could make this episode into an arc of its own. Like, legitimately. You could make 3 episodes, and they could be good episodes about Cad Bane sneaking in the Jedi Temple. All the security precautions, all the stuff. In fact, there is even an arc in the Clone Wars in Season 4, I'm pretty sure, about bounty hunters planning a huge heist.
Yeah.
It's the box arc with Crisis on Naboo and all those episodes. Great episodes. Love those episodes. My point is the ease in which Cad Bane gets into the Jedi Temple is kind of refreshing, I actually gotta say. It's interesting to see, the Jedi letting their guard down a little bit. I also love, I don't know if you noticed, Yoda's, what was Yoda's role in this episode? It was to deliver cryptic statements to everyone and not actually do anything. And I love Yoda. Yoda's my favorite Star Wars character. But he acted like an idiot this episode.
Yeah, all the Jedi acted like idiots this episode. They were absolutely fixated on the communications center. It's like they forgot that the holocrons and the archives are also incredibly, incredibly valuable.
Yeah. But then again, I do gotta give Bane and mostly Sidious some credit here. Sidious gets all the credit in the world for this. Because, if you gotta steal a holocron from the Jedi Temple, what holocron are you gonna steal? You're not gonna steal a Jedi holocron from the Temple. You're gonna steal a Sith one. If a dark side user coming in, what would they want with a Jedi holocron? You know what I mean? The common assumption. I like, of course, this Holocron Heist is the episode that contradicts this, but you know what I'm trying to say.
One thing I want to bring up on this is, we see Cato Paracity. Do you think it's Cato Paracity or Cato? I don't know if they say her name.
I think I heard Cato in the episode, but...
Alright, Cato, so Cato Paracity, now, she's a changeling, but here's what I don't understand. How does she change her clothes completely, her whole appearance? Because it looks like there was some type of hologram technology in play, We see kind of the cycling blue lines at times in her appearance when she's disguised. And it's not like what Zam Wessel is doing, where it's just her clothes. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think that is? I don't know how that...
I think this is like Star Wars logic. I think it works because the plot needs it to work.
I think it's just one of those Star Wars Ex Machina.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I don't have an answer for you. I also love the fact that not even Toto knows a bomb strapped to his back. Like, that's how ruthless Cad Bane is. He doesn't even let the droid know a bomb strapped to his back.
Yeah, I mean, that to me makes sense, but like... Yeah, again, it's just interesting how he completely fools and pulls one over on these incredibly strong, perceptive Jedi masters,
Yeah.
Crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't think I have anything else for this episode.
What did you think about it overall?
I liked it. I actually, so the notes I wrote, this episode was super strong. I definitely feel like we're in a new era of the Clone Wars, and I dig that. Yeah, I really liked this episode. This episode was very solid.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't really like this episode as much, to be honest. I wasn't really feeling it. I thought it felt kind of meandering, kind of sluggish. Almost parts of it almost felt gratuitous. I want to say I felt like the Jedi Council just felt like as thrilling as it was to see Cad Bane kind of outsmarting everyone. The Jedi Council did seem overly lethargic, and after the Felucia sequence, I feel like it didn't really feel like it had much of a message, which is fine, but it felt like it didn't really connect. Anyways, now I guess I was hoping that they would kind of continue Ahsoka's arc.
Yeah, I get that.
In this episode, but I do think we see that more later on. So, not all is lost. All is not lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess let's on to the next.
Cargo of Doom. Fortune Cookie reads, "Overconfidence is the most dangerous form of carelessness." In my opinion, this is
because I'm torn on this one.
This one's a much better one, in my opinion, than the last one. The
last much one better than the last.
Made no sense to me. This one, again, this episode, I'm gonna spoil this for you. Cargo of Doom is probably my least favorite of the three. And that has almost nothing to do with like a lot of the plot elements. A lot of the plot elements felt fine to me. I get annoyed on episodes that don't really take place on a planet. It feels less grounded to me. Like, I know it technically takes place over Deveron, but like that's why episodes like Storm over Ryloth or Cat and Mouse don't really gel with me, because they all take place in space, and I feel like a lot of the tension is lost, personally, for me. But anyway, overconfidence is the most dangerous form of carelessness. We see several people in this episode, mostly Ahsoka though, get overconfident, and when they're so overconfident, when they're so arrogant about their plans succeeding, they often miss things. They don't care anymore. They're careless. Overconfidence is the greatest form of carelessness. They miss things that inevitably blow up their plans in their face.
Definitely, I definitely agree. I think I'm a little torn because on the one hand, it feels this statement itself of the fortune cookie feels like a bit of a non-starter and something that's very situational. But I do think that in terms of this arc and this episode, it definitely rings true. So overall, I liked it. We definitely see this in the attack on Bane's ship. The ATTE plan, it seems cool, but it really shows how thrown together the attack obviously is. And I think the overconfidence comes when Anakin makes the call to attack, because he assumes that his abilities and his leadership and his unconventional strategies will be enough to overcome Bane, despite not really having done any serious planning. But they end up getting totally worked, and Ahsoka almost dies for it. And
Yeah.
And then Anakin is also overconfident in his abilities when he forgoes destroying the ship to destroy the holocron with it, because he wants to bring it back to the temple himself. And we also see this with Ahsoka going after Bane alone and paying the price.
Yep.
So definitely a good fortune cookie, and there's definitely more of a lesson here, and more to discuss.
So, one of the things off the bat, in the opening narration, we've seen that Cad Bane is already after the keeper of the memory crystal, a Jedi master by the name of Bolla Ropal. In my head, he went after Bolla Ropal at the beginning of the episode, but I did not remember that he already had him by the opening narration, and I love that. Again, I love this arc with Cad Bane, even though I don't like Cad Bane much, because the arc makes it very clear that even though Cad Bane does not have, like, lightsaber usage, and he's not a Jedi, and he doesn't have the Force, that he, if anything, that only makes him stronger because he has to work around it. That he is not somebody to be messed around with, just because he doesn't have the Force. A question I do have for you is, and this is something that's genuinely confusing for this episode. Jacob, I'm going to ask you a very simple question, and you tell me what you think is the answer for this, okay?
Okay.
Who's Cad Bane working for?
I assume Darth Sidious. We see him talking to Darth Sidious.
Yeah, of course, because we see him talking to Darth Sidious. The thing I'm confused about is, why is all the separatist stuff?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's because he gets lent the fleet by and clearly it's something that Sidious is facilitating, where he's, because obviously we see in Cad Bane's conversation with Nute Gunray is not happy about handing over 5 of his ships to Cad Bane. So I think that definitely Sidious had a hand in making that happen. So
Yeah,
I think that's the connection.
It seems weird to have an arc like this completely disassociated from Dooku.
Yeah, it does a little bit, but we have seen, I mean, to be fair, Nute Gunray think of the Phantom Menace. Newt Gunray has been in touch with Sidious before Count Dooku was ever a part of the picture. So it
Yeah.
makes sense that Sidious might in some cases not go through Dooku, just go directly
Yeah.
to Gunray if he really needs something to happen and he doesn't want Gunray to kind of play fast and loose with him, or maybe be a little stingy. You know, we know Gunray's probably, he's a very greedy businessman. He probably would cheap out and try and give him a ship with like a broken engine or something. Who knows? You know?
Yeah. I would agree with you, other than the separatist emblems on the ship. Like, that makes it a little murky. Again, like, they're separatist ships. Yes, they're probably made by the Trade Federation, but at this point they're separatists, so it feels
that just
strange.
plays into the narrative of like this, like the whole idea that the Trade Federation keeps pushing, oh no, we're not part of the separatists, no, you can't go after us, no, Republic, don't do this. Like, it's not really that true.
Yeah.
And
let's
it's not
talk
that relevant.
Actually, I'm excited about this because we haven't done this for a while, because the Clone Wars doesn't have that many compared to, like, the prequels, for example. We got a meme in this episode. We got a meme in Cargo of Doom.
What meme are you talking about?
Recognize it?
I don't think I do.
Do you recognize the "take this shit and get out" meme?
Oh yeah. I saw that. I noticed that. I didn't think of that because the line, of course, doesn't exist. But yeah, totally.
That's this episode. If you guys aren't aware, we're talking about the meme where Captain Rex points at something and then points back. And then it's a different line in the episode, but the line commonly associated with the meme is "take this shit and get out."
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I don't know how the caption came about, because obviously we're in season 2. This is on Cartoon Network. Dave Filoni would never.
No.
But here we are. Yeah.
But here we are. Anyway, so let's get to Bolla Ropal. He is tortured and killed.
That is dark. Like, I just want to say that's pretty crazy for this stage of the
not a kid's show.
Not a kid's show. I mean, it is a kid's show, but it's also kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah. And here we go with another one of my logistical problems, because it has to come back. Okay. You know what my question is, right?
I don't know what your question is.
You got the future of the Jedi Order in a crystal.
Yeah.
And you send one guy to guard it. One Jedi. Exactly one.
I mean, maybe this goes back to the Jedi just being a little bit too traditional, a little bit overconfident, and maybe that's kind of making them complacent, you know?
Yeah, but like still,
maybe they're not willing to adapt to the realities of the Clone Wars and the Sith really being back.
Yeah,
that's how I would rationalize.
You gotta wonder, though.
Yeah, you gotta wonder. One thing that I noticed about that episode, this is going back to my newly forming obsession, which is more evidence for a battle droid society.
I didn't think that was where you were going.
The battle droid sounds sad and changes his tone of voice when the battle droid has to tell Cad Bane that the Jedi is dead, or he says something like they have stopped functioning or something. But
they're no longer functioning.
This B1 genuinely sounds sad. Like if that doesn't say that they can move beyond their programming, I don't know what does. Like, there's no reason whatsoever for the Neimoidians to program emotions into the battle droids. It could only be a weakness.
Also, I want to mention this one to you. I'm pretty sure you mentioned this a couple episodes back in some battle droid humor thing. And I'm like, wait till Cargo of Doom till we get to this. Well, it's Cargo of Doom and we got into this. Hey, it's a Jedi! Wait, look, there are 3 of us and only 1 of him. It won't matter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that is the most iconic B1 line ever. It's amazing. Also, a couple things, Eli. You're gonna like this. I know you always love to ask the question of what's your favorite. It's like poetry, it rhymes moment. well, I found one of mine. Anakin is saying to Ahsoka when Ahsoka runs after Cad Bane, Ahsoka, we'll take him together.
I wrote that down too.
That is such a great moment because it's so interesting seeing Anakin become the mentor
Yes.
after Attack of the Clones. And it's interesting that we see him kind of reap what he sows, maybe not literally, but in sort of a karmic like sense. We end up having Ahsoka running off and doing all this stuff. So that was just a cool moment to see. Kind of, it felt a little bit like the generations we're kind of shifting in a way, and we see Anakin start to realize maybe what a pain he had been for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But then of course we kind of see that regress again, that dynamic go back to where it was in Attack of the Clones, more towards Revenge of the Sith, and we see more of that resentment.
There's also that thing that popped up in my head from that episode Dooku Captured, where Ahsoka and Anakin are bickering about something, and and Anakin goes to Obi-Wan, anytime, and Obi-Wan goes, no, I'm enjoying this far too much, which shows Anakin finally having to embrace being the mentor, and Obi-Wan just kind of sitting back, letting Anakin do his thing, which I love.
Yeah, that is always the funniest moments when we see Anakin getting flustered over like Ahsoka being headstrong or disobeying him, and then turning around and Obi-Wan's just right there smirking. And I think the fact that Obi-Wan's always just there and he's always looking at Anakin and kind of winking at him is one very underrated way that he earns his title of Master of Trolling.
Of trolling, yeah.
He always just shows up at the moments when Anakin gets when Anakin is getting the most disrespected by Ahsoka. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has a way of just making himself present in those moments.
There are a couple other things from Cargo of Doom that I am interested in. The first one is this idea of Cad Bane using the literal ship they are on as a weapon.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
cool.
crazy. That's, really cool. I love that. As much as I think this episode is the weakest of the three episodes, that is a really underrated part of this episode. He literally uses the ship as a weapon. He disables the gravity. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that to me, that whole thing was so cool. That whole fight where we have the zero gravity and multiple kind of dimensions. That was a pretty kick butt scene. I absolutely loved that. It was even though so much of Star Wars happens in space, we almost never see a zero gravity, a microgravity action scene. I think the only other example I can think of is, there's a couple other examples in Clone. The only other examples I can think of, are one scene when they're stealing the encryption chip from the Separatists in the D Squad arc, and then in Spark of Rebellion, the first of Rebels. So it's a really rare thing, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
They use it well. They use it sparsely. Here's another parallel. If we're talking about parallels, Rex and Anakin and the Republic are wandering around the Separatist ship. They're looking for and Rex, and it's very dark. And Rex bumps his head on a pole, which mirrors his template, Jango Fett, doing the exact same thing in Attack of the Clones, which itself mirrors the Stormtrooper bumping his head on the opening door in A New Hope.
Wait, when does Jango do that in Attack of the Clones? What?
When the Slave One is leaving Kamino.
Oh my gosh.
Jango's getting on the Slave One, and he bumps his head on the door.
Overall, I thought that Cargo of Doom was a lot more enjoyable than Holocron Heist.
I disagree, but okay.
Oh, how come?
I think I like them mostly the same. I'd say Cargo of Doom is 98% as good as Holocron Heist. I'm not a huge fan of the entire episode being on a ship, honestly. That's just it for me. But that's actually a second episode. What often happens in an arc for me, the first episode's very good. The second episode slips a little bit. And I found there's two patterns. Either the third episode is the best, or the third episode slips a little bit more for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil which one.
So far, I feel like I'm loving this episode, not Holocron Heist, but Cargo of Doom. I just feel like it had more. It felt like it had more direction. It had more of a message. Overall, I just found it, just more interesting. Should we go on to Children of the Force?
Children of the Force. Actually, let me just spoil this here before we get to the fortune cookie. Children of the Force is my favorite of these three.
I think it's my second favorite.
Yeah, I'll tell you why at the end it's my favorite, but just going into it is my favorite. But the fortune cookie, let me tell you this, it's not my favorite. The first step to correcting a mistake is patience.
Yeah, I don't know about this fortune cookie, to be honest. I don't know. Do you have any observations about it? Because I kind of couldn't really come up with anything.
Yeah, me neither, honestly. It feels like it's ironic that it says the first step to correcting a mistake is patience, because I feel like, and this is one of the strengths of the episode, the last thing this episode has is patience. You know what I mean? It zips around the galaxy from one planet to another on basically what is a scavenger hunt. And that is, in my opinion, one of the greatest strengths of this episode. But it's ironic to me that it does that and preaches about patience.
I mean, that is true. However, to be fair, I think we should consider that the fortune cookie may have a point. First in our last episode in Cargo of Doom, we see Anakin recklessly leading a frantic attack to, like, a pretty desperate attempt to get the holocron back, and it backfires horribly. Ahsoka almost gets sucked into space. Obviously, terrible situation. But then this episode, we see it. They start off with just the Jedi just meditating and taking their time and planning out their next move, and even we see that even with Anakin and Ahsoka, they're not still charging around the galaxy. They're taking time to examine Baines' ship. So I think maybe it does have a bit of merit, but it's not the strongest.
That's I think one of the biggest weaknesses of the this fortune cookie. It almost feels more like a fortune cookie for last episode than this one.
Really? Because I feel like the mistakes, the way I see it, the mistakes were made last episode, and this episode is kind of
correcting the mistakes.
Yeah, and then I think the lesson that they learn is that, look, Bane may be able to outsmart us, but he relies on, he just relies on confusion tactics, on subterfuge, on keeping the Jedi off balance. But then the Jedi are saying,
he's not omniscient.
We can unravel this.
He's not the smartest guy alive.
Yeah, he's like, we can. Fooled. Yeah, they just say we can unravel this if. I don't think that's exactly right what you said, either, because obviously, Cad Bane, they did underestimate him. They say as long as we don't underestimate him, but as long as we realize that we just have to take our time, then we can figure this out. And I think that they're basically finding out, as long as they don't get flustered, as long as they keep their cool, they can do it, because that's really what Bane relies on. Like, he relies on making Ahsoka see red, so that Ahsoka will run after him, and then he can zap her, or getting the Jedi to act recklessly so he can split them up.
Yeah. So this episode does something in a narrative device that we don't see a lot in Star Wars, but I love. This episode is one of the only Star Wars TV episodes off the top of my head which includes a little bit of the last episode in the episode itself.
Yeah, that's pretty
because
interesting.
the scene at the end of Cargo of Doom with Anakin and Ahsoka, we see from a different perspective back in the shuttle with Rex and the clones, which is very rare. It doesn't happen. Like I can't think of a single other. And of course, I'm sure if we put this out there, people are gonna say, "Oh, this episode, these 2 episodes of the Clone Wars, or these 2 episodes of Rebels, or these 2 episodes of Resistance." But am I like? Can you think of anything?
No, I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. And so we get our twist. We get our twist of this arc, which is I think a really great twist, which is that Cad Bane was so cunning he managed to disguise himself as one of the clones, escaping the crashing separatist dreadnought and being able to basically disguise himself and infiltrate the Republic ranks to get that holocron back.
Okay, I
Which
need.
is
It's rant time. This is something that upsets me to no
really
end. Yeah, here's why. Admiral Yularen might just be the most punchable, annoying character for this in the Clone Wars. Anakin
Here we go,
radios
guys.
him and says, lock down the hyperspace rings, lock them down. And then instead of locking down the hyperspace rings, Yularen's just like, what can possibly have happened?
Yeah.
Like not locking down the rings. And by the time
and then he
gives
has
the
time
order,
to echo C-3PO.
yeah, and by the time he gives the order to lock down the rings, it's too late. So by not taking Anakin seriously and by being pompous and annoying as he always is, Yularen cost the Republic a great deal.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that is rant over, but that is something that always ticks me off. I think this is only the second time I've actually watched this episode, probably because it kind of ticks me off. But yeah,
interesting. No. But and then we get that great shot of Anakin putting his hands behind his back like Vader would,
like Vader.
which is so chilling.
Yeah, there were so many parallels in this episode. It was so good.
Yeah. And
we tore the ship apart. Did you catch that? There's a line where Anakin says, "We tore the ship apart." I can't remember what happens after, but
it's the you're saying it parallels Vader in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Commander, tear the ship apart and bring me the passenger. You know that?
Yeah, tear the ship apart. He says, "Tear the ship apart until you found those planes," or something to that effect.
Oh, that's good.
And then we see Anakin say, I can't remember the exact line, but you know the one. He says, "Tear the ship apart," but where he says, "We've torn the ship apart, but we found no sign of the."
We found no sign of the Death Star plans are not in the main computer. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Here's another parallel that's not to the past, but it's actually to the future. So when Cad Bane gets to Rhodia, and he manages to trick his way into getting that first Jedi kid, he takes off with the Jedi kid on his jetpack. Did that remind you of anything?
No. Oh yeah.
Like no, but like seriously, that shot of Cad Bane launching off with the Rhodian reminded me of that shot from season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know,
when he takes off with the kid, that reminds me of Grogu and Din.
Yeah, totally.
That's the Siege. Yeah, it's the Siege. Is that episode?
And then of course we get the infamous interrogation scene, right? Like that. Yes. That scene is, I think that's one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. There's so much to unpack, so many implications about like, are the Jedi just being evil? Are they overstepping their bounds, or are they doing what it takes to protect their future? And it's so chilling.
Yeah.
Just the music, even before the actual scene, when they're just conferring outside of his cell, and then we hear the music get dark, and it's really just different from, it's so different from the way like the Force is often portrayed by the Jedi. Like this is scary. This is menacing. Like this could have real consequences. I'm saying this is so much. Oh my gosh, this could have real consequences. You know?
Yeah. No, I love that scene, but you clearly have a connection to that scene that I don't. So I'm just gonna let you you have anything else? Because I have a weird, subtle thing about that scene that I'm annoyed by. The subtitle. So I watch with subtitles because I'm that guy. And I don't know, but the subtitles. I'm gonna type it into the chat. When it says when they're doing like the group mind trick, this is what it said. This is what the subtitles say. The subtitles say, in brackets, Jedis. On Disney Plus, the subtitles say Jedis.
Yeah, sometimes the subtitles have mistakes, you know?
Yeah, I know, but like that one annoys me because the plural of Jedi is Jedi. And if anyone should know that, it's the people at Disney Plus.
Yeah,
but
I wonder what could have. Yeah, that's such an interesting question of how that happened, because they never. I don't think they say Jedis with an S anywhere in the script. So yeah, it must be a mistake.
There are instances of in Star Wars where characters say the word Jedis
Really?
as a plural like that. But it's usually people who are not knowledgeable about the Jedi. So Anakin in The Phantom Menace, he's a 9-year-old boy. I saw your laser sword. Only Jedis carry that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not
like
knowledgeable about the Jedi. And so, yeah. I actually want to ask you another question. You think anytime Sidious needs anything done, he just goes to Mustafar?
Apparently, because
I need my laundry done. Send it to Mustafar.
Oh my gosh, bro, you're killing me. That was so out of pocket. I wow. Yeah, I mean, it is funny how, you know, Mustafar is a recurring planet, and it's not as if it's like Korriban or Malachor where it's some dark side planet. I mean, as far as we know, but
actually, it is
Sidious,
because of
it gets corrupted. Maybe Sidious loves Mustafar because he sees it as the reminder of the dark side's power to kind of destroy and reshape entire worlds, and he uses that as motivation to help him work on the Death Star and want to have the power of the Death Star. Maybe it's like his Monday motivation. He's I want to be able to turn any planet into Mustafar if I please, and no one is gonna stop me. You know?
Now I'm just imagining the dark version of The Rise of Skywalker where Rey actually does kill Palpatine and his spirit passes into her. My granddaughter, we will begin to rule the galaxy. But first, what has happened to the planet of Mustafar?
Oh my gosh, imagine. Wow. But yeah, I love the Mustafar scene's awesome. It is. Yeah. I absolutely love it. It's so suspenseful.
Did you get episode 3 just vibes from everything? It was so weird, Anakin going to Mustafar before that.
Like, yeah, I got like Mandalorian vibes, almost. The music. I absolutely love the fast, the like high speed kind of staccato snare hi-hat thing that they had going on. You know how in The Mandalorian they have that sometimes? Yeah. It felt like that in it felt like that during the scene when they were trying to rescue the babies. Can't figure out what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Even rescue the babies. That already sounds like The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I love the sequence on Mustafar. I got a lot of episode 3 vibes from it. Like when they accidentally disable the power on the station on Mustafar, like that's straight from Revenge of the Sith. I love that they went to Mustafar. I love that, we got to see Naboo, the swamps of Naboo. We got to see Rhodia. We got to see Mustafar. We were zipping across the galaxy. They mentioned Glia and Selm. We don't see that, but they mention it. in that little like Jedi Council adjournment sequence that we got right there. I love all the zipping around the galaxy we did. And that's, in my opinion, why Children of the Force I think is the best of these three. I wrote my notes. It felt the most weird and unpredictable, and I love that about it. It felt new and exciting. All three were great, but I'd put Children at the top of the list of all three. In my opinion.
Yeah. What can you elaborate on that? What did you like about Children that made it the best?
Again, it's the fact that, it broke the mold of what I love about this arc is it broke the mold of what we thought a Clone Wars arc had to be. Usually you're on a planet an episode. Nope, we get like 6 of them. Usually you got one goal. Nope, we got a whole bunch of them. We got a whole bunch of goals to accomplish. Cad Bane isn't really the villain of this episode. I mean, yeah, he causes some trouble for Jedi, but they're really in his custody for the entire episode, if we're really thinking about it. Yeah. It's an unconventional episode, and I love that about it.
Okay, so I guess I'll start off. Children of the Force, I liked it. I liked it more the second time. On an emotional level, I think it's never fun to see these episodes sometimes where the characters that you really like and like rooting for just get totally worked and outsmarted by a villain, someone that you really don't like. I'm not a fan of Cad Bane. If I met him, I wouldn't like him. But I think it was a good episode. I liked what they did, and I thought that they could have gone deeper into the idea, the moral complexity of the Jedi and how they exist and their kind of model of taking children when they're young from their families. And I think that when we had Cad Bane going in and posing as a Jedi, and then after Obi-Wan comes around, then they think that he's the imposter Jedi. I feel like they could have gone further into that, but overall, I thought it was a fun episode. But I did like Cargo of Doom better. I felt like that episode had the strongest. Yeah, I thought Cargo of Doom had the strongest message, and kind of the most coherent, and the most coherent, tight, and kind of purposeful plot. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I disagree on that. I liked it goes Children of the Force, and then Holocron Heist, and then Cargo of Doom for me.
Oh, so we really disagree. Wow.
Yeah. It's all about different tastes. I know, Jacob, you're a huge vehicle fan. I'm not.
Yeah, I loved the space episode. I know that was something you didn't like, but
no, I can't. I'm not really a huge fan of those. Actually, that's what I like about the Clone Wars is it gives us enough of them to satisfy people like you, but it doesn't oversaturate them so people like me get annoyed. Three very solid episodes in my opinion, or I guess not for you, but yeah. Should we get on to the next part of the episode?
Everybody's favorite part.
What you've brought me today is worth 1/4 portion.
I was listening to an episode like a while ago of Force Toast, a Star Wars Happy Hour. Great podcast, by the way. They were doing their trivia, and one of the questions was how many portions is Rey given for salvage? And I'm like, my time has come.
1/4 portion.
Time is now. And today,
my time is now.
1/4 portion, the variety segment. We have It's a Long Story.
Yeah, the segment where we explain Star Wars very badly to each other.
And then we guess what it is. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I'll go first, I guess, yeah.
All right.
Okay. A group of people who are the same but different suddenly find they have job insecurity and have to scour the galaxy for new jobs, basically.
The same but different find they have job insecurity. Man, is it Is it Order 66?
It might have something
The
to do with
clones?
that.
Is it the Kanan comic where
It's
we
not a
see a
comic.
lot of the clones?
It's not a comic.
Is it the Bad Batch?
What are you talking about?
The Bad Batch trailer, we kind of see the clones in that.
The
after Order
show,
66?
yeah, that's what I was going for. The Bad Batch show.
Oh, yeah,
From
nice,
what we
nice,
know.
nice.
Same but different. They're clones
Yeah.
of Jango Fett, but they've all been genetically modified different ways. They have
All
job
right.
insecurity because Order 66 happened and the Republic doesn't need clones anymore. Yeah, pretty much. That's the Bad Batch show.
Let's see. Okay, this one is a little vague, but I think you'll get it. It's a piece of media that you've expressed enthusiasm for in the past. So here's hoping. A kid gets an internship to spy on the police.
I
But
already
he
know
ends
this one.
up destroying his friend's dad's business and putting his so-called aunt's small business in jeopardy.
I already know this one. This is great. Star Wars Resistance Season 1.
Aunt Z, the most underrated character. Let's go.
Yeah. As soon as I heard a kid gets an internship to spy,
You
that's
know?
That's Kaz. That's Kaz
Yeah, that's
right
Kaz.
there. I
And
love.
yeah.
Yeah. And with Torah and her father. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Star Wars Resistance. If you haven't watched it, go, because it's really good. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy. Next episode, I'm not gonna say next week because our next episode is indeed not next week. Our next episode, so we're releasing this episode. Let me pull up our timeline. We're recording this episode the Saturday before releasing it, as we always do. The episode is being released on February 3rd. On February 7th, so 4 days after this one, but 3 days before our next episode, we're releasing a 35-minute special episode to celebrate Star Wars Podcast Day. You can find all the information about that at Star Wars Pod Day on Twitter. It's run by Daniel from Now This Is Podcasting, which is a great website that features Star Wars podcasts. Jacob and I reacted to, what was it? It was 25 minutes of an obscure video game called Star Wars Starfighter. It was certainly something. So you get to listen to us talking about that and doing a 1/4 portion segment along with it. So you'll get a bonus episode. And then next week, we'll be continuing with our regularly scheduled episodes with Bounty Hunters, the Zilla Beast, and the Zilla Beast Strikes Back. Until then, you can find us on Spotify, Anchor, Radio Public, Google Podcasts. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, we'll be there. Follow us on Twitter at In a Galaxy Pod. Follow us on Instagram at Star Wars In a Galaxy. Leave a rating and 5-star rating and review. It really does help if you are on a service that does that. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Star Wars in a Galaxy, and I think that is it. Unless there's anything else, Jacob, I think it's time to say may the Force be with you, always.